And I think that's what junior hockey does. It allows, kids to come to our league and mature into young men. And I think that's something that our league should be extremely proud of. And I know as a coach and part of this league, that's something that I'm certainly really proud of.
Head coach of the Bismarck Bobcats, Garrett Roth, has seen what this league can do for players on and off the ice. We caught up with Garrett on this edition of NA Now to see what the reigning Robertson Cup champions have been up to as they prepare for the upcoming year.
I think the focus since the end of the season's kind of been getting prepared for this upcoming season. Our scouting staff, led by our general manager, Nico Kaptanovic, Wade Chido, Jack Callahan, Greg Anderson, they've done a great job of identifying players, that have the attributes that we look for and brought them in front of us at our main camp and through the draft process and tenders. And so we're really excited for August 17th when we report to kick off this season and get going.
Yeah, absolutely. And kind of reflecting on last year, last season, your team featured a 47-10 1-1 regular season record and rode a 13-game win streak heading into the playoffs. Talk to me about that testament of the roster and what were some of your biggest takeaways from last year?
Yeah, I think, it all is a factor of what Nico was able to do, through the years leading up to this season. I think our roster was probably as deep as any other team in the league. Which allowed us to really be able to play to our strengths as a team. And, the additions that we made throughout the course of the season really rounded out and shaped our roster to give us, players that filled certain needs that we felt that we were lacking in areas of our game. And so I think, he did a fantastic job as general manager this year. And, I think he's the best in the league and, really fortunate to be able to have him and Wade Chido as our scouting staff because, as a coach, if you don't have the guys that are able to find the players that fit how you want to play, it's very difficult to have success. And the players that were brought in, over the years here, were high impactful players and high character. And I think those two things, made a huge impact on the success that we had this year. And I think our group was fantastic. They worked extremely hard. They cared for one another. And, they checked their ego at the door when they walked in that locker room. And when you look at some of the production that individual players had leading up to this season, to leave some of that on the table, to buy into the defensive side of the game and, to make sure that we played to the identity that we needed to have success, I think speaks volumes for, what Nico was able to do in terms of bringing in the guys that, were built to win a championship. And fortunately, we were able to, finish off the season on the right foot and win it all. And so, certainly proud of our guys for how they handled themselves and what they accomplished here in the Bismarck-Mandan area.
Absolutely. And obviously your team took home the Robertson Cup title, but they also took home the regular season title. With that dominance on the ice, it led to your team featuring 20 NCAA commitments from this past season's roster. What does it mean as a coach to see so many of your athletes have the opportunity at the next level?
Well, it's extremely important. I think, as a coach, the most important, role that we have is helping them develop not only on the ice, but off the ice. Help them through the adversity and through the trials and tribulations that they're going to have at the junior level. I love this league. And a lot of it is there's players that have setbacks in their careers. They get traded or they get released from teams and they got to find their identity, and find that confidence in themselves to be able to play to their best ability. And I think as a coach at this level, that's the highlight when you come to the rink is you understand that they're people that are really trying to achieve a dream, and we're here to help them go through the process and, be here to support them. And I think that's the most important factor when you're trying to help these players develop and achieve their dream of playing Division I, Division III hockey. And it's a testament to the ability that our guys had to come in with the skill set and the accountability that they developed over the course of 2-3 years in junior hockey to earn opportunities to play at higher levels. And really proud of the guys that represented our logo this year. And, our league has done a fantastic job of giving exposure to players, and it's on them to make sure that they take advantage of it and do everything they can in their power to have success and earn those chances. And so, having 20 commitments, that's a huge number for us. And, we're definitely really pleased with how the season went and giving our guys an opportunity to advance their careers and, move forward in the next stage of their life.
Yeah, and kind of talking about moving forward, with so many commitments also comes with a handful of age outs. What can we expect from the next wave of athletes who will lace up for the Bobcats this upcoming year?
Yeah, I think, we're excited for August 17th. Our staff has done a fantastic job of identifying the types of players that we want to bring in. We have a lot of players from different junior leagues that their excitement comes with wanting an opportunity to do it again this season. As a coaching staff and an organization, we understand that, it's going to take a process, and we have to make sure when we show up, we're true to ourselves with the work that we put in. We hold ourselves accountable in every area, but it's awesome when you have players that want to join your program, that are driven to have team success, and I think when you have that mentality, those players are driven to have the individual success. And that's the group that, as a coach, you're fortunate to be able to bring apart and be able to coach. And so we're extremely excited about the group of players that we're bringing in to start training camp, and we'll see how the course of the season goes.
With that, you also will have a handful of veterans that will be returning to the Bobcats. How important is it to have those guys in the locker room to kind of lead the charge for the leadership side of things?
Well, right now, starting off at training camp, we have Gianni DeVita, and he's our returner. And so, we're going to lean on him heavily in terms of leadership and understanding what the expectation is here. But it's a new group, and everyone kind of starts at ground zero. And we have to make sure that, from day one, we instill, the habits and details that we need to have to be successful, not only as a team, but as individuals. And, start to build that camaraderie in the locker room. Because when guys come to the rink and they're enjoying themselves, that's usually when you're able to get more out of practice and more out of your workout. So I think that's the most important thing is, as a group, we have to find our identity. And that might take a little bit, or we might find it fairly early in the training camp. And so the exciting part is, we have a lot of opportunity in front of us to, decide what we want to be and how good of a hockey team we're going to be at the end of the year. And so this is the time where we, kind of start working and putting it all together.
Yeah, and kind of moving ahead again with the player experience, the Bismarck Bobcats are heading into their 23rd season in the North American Hockey League. What about the Bobcats organization stands out as an organization to play for and also a city to play in?
Well, I certainly think it's the stability, from our ownership with Tom and Brenda Briggle. They've done a fantastic job of leading the way. And then, if you look across the board, there's only been, I think, 5 coaches that have coached for this program. And, taking over for Lane Sedevy, who was here for 15 years, he was Bobcat hockey. And, he put his heart and soul into the program and still continues to do that. And the number of alumni that have come out and supported us, not only, at games here at the VFW, but when we're on the road as well. It's a history of, that camaraderie and to be a Bobcat, it's more than just being part of an organization, being part of a team. You're, I hate using the word just family, but it's bigger than just being a member of a hockey team. When you come here, you have billet families that do a fantastic job of staying in contact with players. You have alumni that are reaching out and supporting you through the course of the season. Our fan base is excellent. We sell out pretty much every single night. They travel well. And so, we're extremely fortunate to be able to have the amenities that we do here and the support. I mean, our training staff with Sanford, they do a fantastic job, led by Michael Silbernagel and Brennan Ehrlich, our trainer. And so there's just so many people that care so much and are passionate about this program that make it one of the best places to play in junior hockey without question.
Absolutely. And for yourself, you just wrapped up your 9th season working with the Bismarck Bobcats, and this is your 15th year coaching in the North American Hockey League. How has those experiences being a part of the organization shaped you and prepared you as you head into your 2nd year as a head coach for the Bobcats?
Well, I think every year you're learning, and you're learning about yourself, but also learning about some of the areas that you need to improve on as a person, as a coach. And I think through the years that I've been here, through Bismarck, Aberdeen when I started, Wichita Falls, which then went to Oklahoma City, I think all of those situations, help guide my focus and what I want to do as a coach and how I want to help players develop. And I think that's the biggest thing is, when you get into coaching early on, it's about winning. And you want to win hockey games. You feel like that validates things. But as you stay in the game longer, you understand that it's more about the relationships and the responsibility of making sure that you do right by every individual that comes across through your organization, through your team. And I think that's the mindset that I think is something that, as an organization, myself, we really focus on. It's about the players. Well, after I'm done coaching, there's still going to be players going through the process trying to play at the highest levels. And so we have to make sure that we put them first and make sure that their needs are met and that we do everything in our power to be able to help them through the process and help in their development. And I think, through the 15 years, 16 now, that's kind of shaped my mentality and my belief in what it is to be a coach at this level.
And for yourself, you have a very special connection to the North American Hockey League and specifically with the Bobcats organization. You played in the North American Hockey League and you also played for the Bobcats, even though it was before they joined the North American Hockey League. How have you seen the league grow from that time period, from being a player to now coaching in the league?
Yeah, it's grown a lot, and it's done a fantastic job of marketing itself. And with that, we've been able to really take advantage of the player pool and being able to bring in players from all over the world that, have definitely made our league stronger and deeper. And I think that's a testament to the work that, a lot of the organizations, Mark Frankenfeld and the office staff, our owners, all the coaches that have come through the doors the last 25 years, it's a testament to their work and taken a lot of pride in how they run their organizations and how much pride that we have in this league, because it's a fantastic league that's, one of the best ran leagues in the world. And I think it's something that, if we can continue to keep finding high character players that come in and, have aspirations to play at the highest level, it's going to be a league that continues to have high numbers in Division I commits and commitments across the board. And I think, when you're in a developmental league, that's the most important aspect, is making sure that you do right by the players and give them opportunities to excel and succeed.
While still talking about the league, what makes the players in the what makes the players in the North American Hockey League different than any other junior league out there?
Well, from my experience, I haven't been in any other league, but I know that a lot of the situations that we encounter as coaches in this league is something that I mentioned earlier about players having setbacks, and maybe not playing at the highest level or leaving high school and having their Division I commit where they go into school right away. There's that year to 3 year window that players need to kind of find themselves as a person. And I think it's not just on the ice. I mean, on ice is probably the easiest part of our job in the development process and going about your schedule and making sure players, when they're here, are getting work done. I think it's behind the scenes and the relationships that you build with players that make a bigger impact. It's helping them navigate, through being traded or being released from a team and trying to find themselves and gain that confidence back that maybe they lost elsewhere. It's having them go to different events around town. And so, making sure that they're not here just for themselves, but they know that, they're a lightning rod for the organization when they're out in the community. And I think that's what junior hockey does. It allows, kids to come to our league and mature into young men. And I think that's something that our league should be extremely proud of. And I know as a coach and part of this league, that's something that I'm certainly really proud of.
Yeah, and talking about the community, what is the atmosphere like? And what is the fan base like in the Bismarck Bobcat community when they're coming to games? And what can fans expect if they're planning on coming to a game this season?
Oh, it's awesome. I mean, you know what? Our game staff does a fantastic job of not just putting on a hockey game, but it's entertainment. There's so many other things going on in the rink with our video board and intermission games, and at the 10-minute mark, different games and different things that are engagement. And I think that's a big part of the atmosphere is. People are coming to watch hockey, but they get drawn into other aspects that, are exciting that make them want to come back for more, and, I'm sure people have heard the horns and the bell and, the bells and everything. The cowbells are ringing in this building nonstop from the time that they show up to the rink till the time they leave. And so it's a loud atmosphere. And, I think our players love playing it. It's definitely a home ice advantage. And it's something where, even if you're feeling off a little bit as soon as the game starts, and you're getting that energy from the fans to dig a little deeper and try to make them proud. So, you know what? The Bismarck Mandan community has done a fantastic job supporting our organization, and hopefully we've made them proud as much as they do us.
Absolutely. And with the season quickly approaching, also comes with the greatest show on ice quickly approaching. What are you looking forward to most once you're in Blaine, Minnesota with the Bismarck Bobcats for the NA Showcase?
Just the opportunity that presents for our players. We're going to be in town here 5 weeks prior to the showcase so that our guys can be playing their best brand of hockey at that time. So there's no excuses, and they can kind of showcase their abilities as individuals and as a team to where, we're playing somewhat mid-season level hockey. And so that's been our focal point. It's a big event, and I know that players get nervous leading into it, but, I think it's a good part of, kind of what our end goal is about controlling what you can control. Not allowing outside noise to interfere with what we need to do and accomplish. And I think early on in the season to be in that type of setting is really important for our players to kind of understand, to allow your emotions not to get carried away and just kind of hone those, focus on the task at hand and make sure that we do everything we can to execute and play the best that we can.
Absolutely. Well, Garrett, I appreciate you taking the time to chat with me today. We wish you the best of luck as the season is quickly approaching.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day.